All right, we are live with Jean Vachon. I love saying your name, Jean Vachon. It's like, dude. Every time I think about it, it reminds me of Les Mis and Jean Valjean. What was the girl's name in Les Mis? I don't
um,
remember.
yeah,
His and it turned. I think it turned out that it was his daughter, right?
it's been forever since I've seen it. I need to go back and watch it.
I don't know that I
It's the
ever saw it.
Broadway production. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever saw it. I've read the book. I think I was forced to at gunpoint when I was in like high school, maybe junior. I don't remember if that was a junior high or a high school thing, but
Yeah.
anyhow, well, welcome, John, and welcome all of our guests that are tuning in. It's awesome to be able to do this. It's a little bit late in the afternoon. Hopefully, you guys have wrapped up your day, and this is kind of putting a final bow on it. And we're going to bring some great kind of thoughts and kind of forward thinking relative to the crypto market. So, John, tell us what's going on inside of the crypto market right now, and why people should be paying attention to like how they could potentially exit that tax free.
It's funny. I think you can probably hear or view an opinion that will give you whatever you're looking for in crypto right now. It's so volatile. It's up and down. It's going to go through the roof or it's going to go through the floor, and you never know day to day, which one it's going to be. And so again, you've got very adamant parties, that are blaring that, the message on both sides. So who knows, right? And there's a lot of instability, a lot of volatility. There's a lot of hope and a lot of promise, but who knows where it's ultimately going to be?
Tell you what, man, it's like it's like dreams are made and crushed in like minutes during a day. And it's funny too how it ebbs and flows about how much interest there is in potentially tax-free exiting a crypto portfolio. And I think it's solely based upon what Bitcoin is doing that day, right? And unfortunately, we're down to 66,000 right now. We're up past that 70,000 mark. Everybody's like, woo,
Yeah.
woo, it's going to 100. And now it's like, oh man, what's going to happen, right? Is it going to drop below 66? What's happening there? So I hear you.
Where's the floor? Where's the ceiling? But also, another variable, big curveball is the election year. It's unprecedented to see, Dow Jones at this level, and same thing with crypto. So it's uncharted territory for a lot of people. A lot of people don't know how to read it. And so again, it just speaks to, it's been on a great run. Stocks have been on a great run. Crypto's been on a great run. A lot of people have made money on paper or digitally, in those spaces, but they haven't necessarily recognized that gain fully. So a lot of people are saying, do I hold on to it? What if it tanks? I don't want to see that evaporate, that gain evaporate. So I think there's a lot of skepticism right now, uncertainty, but a big part of it surrounds people not wanting to pay taxes if they sell the crypto and get the gain right now. They're like, well, I don't want to pay that much tax. So I think that's where a lot of that uncertainty comes from, is just how, and again, you look at tax mitigation and there are 1,000,001 different ways to mitigate tax. And a lot of them are really shady.
Not just kind of shady, right? And so as you're looking at that, and I think that's actually very noteworthy, right? Is that there's all kinds of people that are bouncing around out there in the internet right now that are kind of hawking different tax mitigation strategies. And it's funny because I actually got the comment from somebody the other day when I started talking to them. I got on a strategy call and they were like, nothing against you, but when I first kind of reached out and we first kind of looked at your page, it was a little bit too infomercially. And I actually thought that was kind of funny. And they're like, but dude, you're actually legit, right? You know what you're talking about. God, you're a lawyer and you're actually fairly good at this stuff, apparently. And I was like, well, thanks. Right. And and what's amazing is that it's like, you know what? That's actually kind of you know, I don't know if it's a backhanded compliment, but it's a compliment because we have, and I think that that's part of the challenge, right? Is that you've got these two worlds out there inside of the taxes. You've got the white shoe firms that are so like buttoned up and they're like, you know, it's a gazillion dollars to, you know, get on the phone with them. Well, what's funny is that you can actually get on the phone with them. Well, maybe you can get on the phone with them and you're going to get that like first half-hour phone call or hour phone call for free.
Yeah.
But then you're going to send them a retainer, and the retainer is probably going to be at least 10 grand, probably 20, maybe even upwards of 50, depending on what firm it is.
Yeah.
And then they're going to bill you, right? Like literally every moment that anybody in that firm is working on your stuff, you're on the clock.
That retainer will evaporate like that.
Yeah. And so inside of that, that's what and then the other side are these shady, you know, folks that got that are basically snake oil salesmen that are like, oh yeah, let's hawk you the latest kind of greatest thing that's going to put the most money in my pocket, right? Relative to like what I can plug you into.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot like in one of those, and I'm not dogging conservation easements, but there was a lot of money for the advisors and conservation easements. And so a lot of them got placed. And unfortunately, a lot of them got placed with shady folks that, that now there is snapback relative to the IRS kind of coming in and really, diving into those things and auditing them and coming back and unwinding them because the folks didn't dot their I's and cross their T's.
Yeah.
And so what we've tried to do is to kind of come up with a happy medium between the two where we know what we're talking about. We've got, Wall Street level sophistication, but we're trying to bring that to Main Street America. And unfortunately, when you want to reach Main Street America, they're kind of used to infomercials, right? And so that's the way that you connect with them. And that's the way that you get your product out to them. And so, I don't know, maybe it's also as well as that it's kind of this thing that we're doing right here. But let's face it, this is what actually works. This is what people watch right now. Yeah. And these are the things that get people understanding what has been Wall Street level stuff before. And so that's where we come in at OZ Pros. And what I think we've done a really good job of is bringing Wall Street level sophistication to Main Street level, both in the way that we explain it and then the simplicity of how people actually do it. And I think that that's kind of the key thing. And that's what I really want to talk about today is like a plan for folks relative to whether that's an appreciated Wall Street portfolio or an appreciated crypto portfolio, about how they can start to monetize that, start to recognize some of those capital gains, and then be able to put those and to come up with a strategy about deferring the taxes associated with, liquidating it, and then putting it into something that's going to be a diversification strategy. So John, inside of the, because I know that you have a bunch of strategy calls as well, like walk us through a Wall Street example that you think would be good for folks to kind of pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of clients that are coming to us and they've recognized a gain in a number of different ways, right? Obviously, the most common one is selling a piece of property, and the thing is, right, when you look at this, say, versus a traditional 1031 that's been around for decades, almost 100 years, that's a traditional form of development and of being able to defer your taxes on that gain. Well, things change, right? The economy has certainly changed. We've had a number of things, right? Like COVID and, global pandemic. Now you've got AI, you've got, digital currency. You've got a lot of variables that are changing that people are having to change with them, right? And if you don't change, you die. And so it's looking at what, is tried and true, but it's also looking ahead to try to navigate that. So I think a lot of clients are coming to us and they're saying, hey, I've got this gain and I don't want to do a 1031 exchange. I've done several and I want to put that into, property property, or actually I want to put it into an operating business. Well, you can't do that with a
There you
1031
go.
exchange, right? So again, things change. And just because you did something that worked before, again, could be stock exchange, could be, bonds, could be whatever, doesn't mean that it's going to work tomorrow, right? And so it is being open to those things. It's funny because, right, again, you search tax mitigation for crypto and you get everything under the sun. Literally, it's like move to a different country, move to one of these several countries, put it into, sell it from, Nexo and put it into a Wise, transfer it to Wise. Then it's a personal transfer. It's like you're constantly dodging, the reality of things, as opposed to, investing it into a government-backed program like an Opportunity Zone program and taking that crypto gain, right? Something that is, again, on paper or digitally, and putting that into tangible property, putting it into a tangible business, right? That you can then grow tax-free. And it's all backed by the US government. It's a program that the government is incentivizing you to, hey, take those gains, get them off the sideline, put them into, these low-income census tracts. But again, there are 8,700 plus OZs across the country. A lot of them are really amazing OZs. So it definitely lends itself to looking at it as an option. And to me, it is the best option to mitigate that tax and not to have to renounce your U.S. citizenship and move into a country.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, right? So some of the shady ones, right, are, oh, yeah, let's go get you another passport in a foreign country. And then, oh, yeah, you can renounce your U.S. citizenship, and then you don't have to pay taxes in the U.S. anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
I love America.
Yeah,
I love America. I do not want to leave America. To me, it's the best country, in the world. And so, to me, you're making potentially foolish, permanent mistakes, to just save some tax. No, that makes no sense.
So
right?
Puerto Rico is actually a decent strategy, but and so for what I'm talking about is that if you move and you become a resident of Puerto Rico, that's the one place in the world that a United States citizen can go and that they can pay a different tax rate, and it's 4%.
Yeah.
The issue is, and this is the challenge, is that they audit the crap out of that program.
Yeah.
And if you're not there, it's serious consequences. And so it becomes really difficult to stay out of the US for more than 6 months. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that doesn't help you on the stuff that you've already built up and the stuff that you have as assets already here in the United States. So if you've got a big stock portfolio, you got a big crypto portfolio, you're still going to pay capital gains taxes on that. And so what this presents, and so there was a couple of things that were really cool on Jimmy's pitch day, OZ pitch day that happened today. And one of those was Matt Iock's oil and gas deal. And so inside of Opportunity Zones, because it's so flexible, it presents a play to be able to get out of whatever it is that you're in and diversify into other things that not only are going to diversify your portfolio, but also have other tax mitigating plays like oil and gas. And one of the things that Matt said in his presentation that I really loved was that oil and gas, right, and under the Opportunity Zone program is a way. So it's not like a conservation easement where some clever guys cooked up a way that they could syndicate out the tax, issues associated with it. Instead, it's, actually legislative created, right? Mm-hmm. And it's funny is that I'm going to hammer Jimmy on this one because I think that I said it first. It's the greatest legislative created tax incentive program that's ever been created. And I completely, think that is the case. And Matt reiterated that. And it is an avenue and a vehicle which Congress specifically created for people to take advantage of. Because sometimes they're like, oh man, this is too good to be true. And so what I think that we've done and it's been over the course of like almost 4,000 strategy calls at this point, over 500 opportunity funds that we've set up, which I think is more than anybody in the nation. And it's specifically taking from those things, like learning from what those folks have done well, what they've done not so well, right? Especially on the ones that we've gotten, that have been set up prior to us getting a hold of them. And then it's looking at the creative ways that people can utilize the program in order to be able to really diversify, get into some really cool things. Oh, and hey, by the way, most of the investment strategies actually, there we go. Jimmy's actually, all right, I'm pulling him up. I'm showing it, right? That's exactly right. Greatest tax incentive ever created. Jimmy said in the future, you're going to have to say, listen, I think that Ashley was the one that said that first. I don't know if it was you or me, but anyhow, thanks for being here, man. Great job on OZ Pitch Day today. Loved it. And yeah, well done. And so to that end, it is literally, and the reason why they created it was because it's having the impact that that they hoped it would. Yeah. And it's actually creating jobs. It's actually increasing home values and other real estate prices inside of the zones as compared to other similar census tracts that didn't get designated as opportunity zones. And so you're crazy if you're not going to take advantage of it. Yeah. And John, I think that you were going to Gary say something, because I want to bring us back around to what we were originally talking about on crypto and how you can exit and what the strategies are inside of OZs relative to that.
Again, I mean, there's so many ways, and the thing is, right, it was talked about on Pitch Day again. It's something, investing in operating businesses, investing in franchises, right, and growing those inside of an opportunity zone. It's a great way to diversify your portfolio, to grow that, to change a community, right? To change people's lives through job creation. There's so many ways to be able to do that.
And I think that we're going to be changing somebody's life that's right behind you. Who we got as our guest? That's fantastic. The only thing that would have been better. What's his name?
That's Harvey.
Harvey.
Yeah.
The only thing that would have been better, and maybe if I call his name loud enough, he'll actually come up and start licking you on the face. That's awesome. Well, Harvey, thank you for making an appearance today. All right, so let's talk about like crypto portfolios, appreciated crypto portfolios. I was actually on a call with somebody today. Can't say who. If you're an Ascent member, you might be able to kind of, based upon conversations that we've had in Ascent, which, John, tell us what Ascent is.
Ascent is the best hour and a half that you're going to spend every single week. It's a mastermind. It's a community of investors, developers that are enthusiastic not only about opportunity zones. Almost all of them have opportunity zone funds. They've been able to leverage their capital gains and put that into operating businesses or property inside of OZs. But it's this exchange of information and strategies about those projects. It's strategies about tax mitigation, about estate planning, really anything that you can imagine, because it's not just a one-lane highway. I mean, there are so many different aspects to what we're talking about in generational wealth creation, right? And it's all of those combined together. And really, again, there's no better place that you're going to be able to spend an hour and a half and get all that type of information, and to be able to really strategize and maximize that capital gain and turn it into even more, and to be able to impact your family, but also others.
Yep. And so we do that every Tuesday from 10 to 11:30 Eastern. If you're interested, go to ozpros.com/ascent. And it might be weekly Ascent, but if you go to ozpros.com, you can find it and you can sign up for that. And it's $350 a month. We got an annual play that if you pay for it annually, that you get a 18% discount on it. And if you do, you get access to all of our documents, everything that we've got inside of our quiver relative to documentation and that kind of thing. The bigger, and I think that the biggest benefit though, is that in going through it, we're able to help people with their compliance, number one. But then number two is that we're able to talk through potential deals that people want to do, and to be able to flush those out and to make sure that they're going to jive with the opportunity zone regulations. Yep. So in that, in Ascent, we actually had a conversation with somebody about crypto and about mining. And the question was this: hey, I've got a bunch of friends and I've got a bunch of people that have crypto gains. How can I go to those folks, and how can I, put something together where they can take that appreciated crypto portfolio and they can convert it into a capital gain right now, and then they can put it into a qualified opportunity fund and then down into a qualified opportunity zone business, and then utilize that in order to build another portfolio of crypto assets that's going to ultimately come out the back end tax-free. And so we had been working on this, and we had been working on it for a while, kind of generally talking it through in a sense about how people could do this. And we specifically mapped it out about exactly how you could structure it so that you could actually make that happen. And I think that we've figured out that special sauce. Now we're working through how we can layer on top of that, inside of that investment, into a green data center, which will allow you to then be able to get the tax credits associated with the Inflation Reduction Act, not only to offset your gain that's going to happen in 2026, because under the Opportunity Zone program, you have a capital gain, you get to defer the gain until December 31st, 2026, or potentially later if the legislation is going to go through, which I think is probably going to happen. But you do ultimately end up having to pay the tax. And what we're trying to do is we're coming up with really creative ways that people can make investments that are going to give them return, but then are going to reduce that tax in 2026. So we've got a number of different strategies that are vetted, that we've run through. But one of the ones that we love is solar. It's green. It's part of, once again, it's also legislatively created under the Inflation Reduction Act. And that's what we're putting together right now, is to where folks can take their appreciated crypto portfolios, or stock portfolios for that matter, and if they want, they could put it all into this. They could put some of it, whatever. And they're basically able to take that, create an actual loss, and pay less on the gain and that they're going to have in 2026 one way or another, use tax credits to pay that gain, so effectively eliminate the taxes on the harvesting of it, and then take it and to plow it into something that's going to grow completely tax-free, and to be able to grow not just a crypto portfolio, but also a portfolio of other things that are going to be diversified and that are going to have, intrinsic value in and of themselves, that they can include inside of their opportunity fund portfolio.
And a lot of those things that you're mentioning have a lot of depreciation that's associated with it, that you can use to further mitigate your taxes, right?
Exactly right. So John, walk us through some really creative and some kind of cool things that you've heard of people doing inside of the opportunity zones.
Oh, there are a ton. We've got, people that are creating apps, as an operating business. They've got a digital app that they want to create. We've got, several folks that are doing self-storage units with solar.
There we go.
Airbnb portfolios are huge. Being able to do that inside of an opportunity zone. And so you think about, right, this could be beachfront property, could be lake property. Again, there are a lot mountain property, it could be cabins. So there are a lot of great things that you can invest in that you actually that you like to do, and you want to do as part of your personal life, but also as part of your investment strategy, right? And I know, Ashley, that aligns really well with what you do, with your OZ Pros fund, right?
That's right. And it's funny because I had a mobile home park that I owned outside of Charlotte, and I took that mobile home park and I was like, all right, I could either continue to develop this and and spend my time and energy on that, or I could sell that, generate a capital gain, use it as seed money for a fund, and then bring in some insiders, right, that are other opportunity zone folks that have access to deals, access to deal flow, that kind of thing, and then be able to grow that into something much, much bigger. And I think that we've effectively done that really well with inside of our fund. We made what's funny is we made a lead investment into a solar manufacturer. We made a lead investment into to 3 hotels down in Puerto Rico, which are really cool and are really exciting.
Yeah.
And we've got the Verino brand that's happening down there.
Yeah.
We made an investment into some property out in Wadesboro that we actually hunt deer on, and we're planning on building a boat and RV storage facility out there. We bought an existing boat and RV storage facility down in Port St. Joe, Florida. And I think that that's kind of the direction that we're headed, is that we're planning on doing boat and RV storage facilities, and then being able to use the solar from the solar company that we invested in as part of that, to not only do boat and RV storage, but also to do individual storage lockers and components, even for the boat and RV folks that, the boat and RV storage is open. And so they have stuff like that's in their boats that they don't want to get maybe potentially stolen. So they put that into these individual lockers, and all of that is covered with solar. And it's amazing what we're going to be able to do from a return standpoint for investors based upon that solar play. Yeah. And it's incredible to see like how that, that original kind of seed money capital gain that I had has now snowballed into something that's ultimately going to come out tax-free, when we start liquidating these assets, we started that thing in 2021. So we can start selling in 2031, which at the time, right? It's funny how that goes, is when you say, you're like, man, you're looking at 10 years. That's an awful long time. And that in 2018, right? Dude, that's 4 years from now. And so literally it goes by faster than you can ever possibly know.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's something that it's an established government-backed based program, right? It's tried and true. And again, the regulations are in place. Everything else, as far as mitigating taxes with crypto, it's a moving target, and you're always looking over your shoulder. You're trying to stay ahead of, again, whether it's countries or regulations, or everybody in the world is trying to tax crypto. And
yeah, they're definitely working on it hard.
And so
to Judy's point, you need a team that can help. And if we can't exactly help, we've got people that can. So Jay, you're exactly right, John. I just wanted to highlight her comment.
No, absolutely. And that's, it plays into that. And that's the thing, is like, people may not know a lot about opportunity zones. They don't have to, right? You just have to know that, hey, you've got a community here that you can tap into every single week, and you can chip away at this strategy, right? To your point, opportunity zones have been around for, I think you said 6 years, right?
Yep.
I didn't start learning about them until probably about 3 years ago. And I backed into it because I have property in opportunity zone. I'm like, what is this thing? So many people are there. They're sitting in opportunity zones and don't even know the first thing about it. And so I think, again, it's just, you just got to be open to it and just start, learning. Well, the best way to do that is get into a community like OZ Pros, in Ascent every Tuesday, where you can start to learn, start to, get some knowledge, hear what other people are doing inside of our opportunity zones, and go, oh, that's a great idea. I'd like to be involved in that. I can do that in my backyard, So I think that's the thing about it, is just really chipping away.
I have, it started with my 7th grade teacher in junior high, a guy by the name of Mr. McIntosh. And he talked about the lessons of history, and that if you didn't learn from history, you were destined to repeat it, and that you're crazy not to learn from the mistakes and the good things that people have done in the past. And if you look at the great people, that the really successful folks in our recent times, they were massive students of history. So Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, some arguably the greatest investors of all time, they learn from folks throughout history. One of the things that they really, really harp on, and that they really, really pound into folks' heads about why they've been so successful, is that they learned their investment strategies over time. after very careful consideration and after, really thinking about the stuff that they were wanting to do and what constituted value in the investments that they were going to make. And they formulated that over a long period of time, and then they executed it. But here's the thing, is that they executed it quickly based upon taking lots of time to learn about it along the way. And that's what Ascent, and that's what we try to do at OZ Pros, is set people up so that they know what they're doing, so that way they can ultimately execute on it when they're ready.
Yeah. And that's, another one of their philosophies is, right, invest in things you know and you understand, right, and that you like. And that's the thing about opportunity zones. It is so broad as far as what you can do in an opportunity zone. And it's just crazy that more people aren't taking advantage of this, especially from an operating business standpoint, right? I think that's where there's a huge upside to it.
And that's the great play about this crypto deal, is that people can exit appreciated crypto. They can go into an operating business that generates more crypto, or they can go into an operating business that's not any way affiliated with the crypto industry at all. And so that's the beauty of the opportunity zone play. And why we're super excited. Obviously, we're really passionate about opportunity zones, right? And we're passionate about what they represent for folks that are smart investors, that are considered about investing is all about mitigating taxes, because Uncle Sam is the greatest single vendor that each of us will pay over the course of our lives. And so to the extent that you can reduce that amount that you pay to Uncle Sam, the more you're going to be able to, number one, keep in your pocket, number two, be able to pass down to your kids, and number three, be able to do really cool, impactful stuff with it instead of having Uncle Sam spend it.
Yeah. And here's the thing, right? I think you've got a lot of people, it's the Wild West out there, with crypto, and you've got a lot of people that are thinking, well, I'm not selling crypto, so I don't have a gain. But if you're exchanging, or if you're swapping, or you're paying for things, those are transactions, right? And the thing is that all transactions, you're going to get hit on that. And so I think that's something that people are not, certainly not appreciating, and they're going to get hit, right? This is something that the IRS is going to, really come down on people because they can, right? And so many people just don't even know that they have to pay tax on capital gains.
Correct. And that, if you, if you're exchanging it, and there's nuances and that kind of thing relative to like what you're doing with your crypto, whether that's staking, and most of the time staking is not creating a taxable event, but depending on how you do the staking, that could be an exchange. And so you got to be really careful about that. The cool thing about the Opportunity Zone program is that it presents an ability to be able to take the gains and to be able to defer those, and then to be able to preserve your losses for either, income, right? So if you're generating income from mining crypto assets, you can utilize those losses in order to offset the income, or to offset other types of, stuff that's going to be taxed at a higher rate, defer the taxes on the capital gains piece. And then it gives you time to be able to do stuff that's going to generate tax credits or levered tax plays that you can utilize in order to minimize the taxes that you're going to pay in 2026 when you got to pay them. I like this comment. Sounds like a great tax incentive and hold on for dear life strategy of all time. I love it. And yes. So once again, we've got clients, and we've got somebody that's specifically executing this play to where they can convert, existing gains inside of your portfolio into something that's going to be able to grow tax-free as part of a HODL strategy. So John, with that one, I'm going to wrap us because we're a little bit past 5 o'clock. We were scheduled to go for 30 minutes today, but thanks for being here live on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook. And if anybody wants to get a hold of either John or myself, they can go to ozpros.com. And we'd love to connect with you. Drop us a line on LinkedIn. if you can, and we would really, really appreciate this, go to our OZ Pros YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/OZPros, and give us a like and a subscribe so that way we can kind of bump up in the algorithm. But, leave us a comment on there as well. We'd love to have you be a part of our community. We'd love to show you how to either shift this into, a conversion strategy or a HODL strategy according to what you need. John,
Thanks.
once again, appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. This is the Sherpa and Jean Valjean out. See you, man.
See you, Ashley.